Hi beautiful soul. In this video I want to talk about the power of feminine energy and how to attract daddy energy instead of player energy. And this is something I struggled with for many years of my life and have really only had this level of understanding now in my late 30s. So if this is something you've been struggling with like I was, I hope some of these things are helpful for you. So what's the difference between daddy energy and player energies? So daddy energy is about consistency and reliability. So that means daddy energy follows through on promises and shows up when they say they will. They have protective instincts, like not in a controlling way, but just in a way that makes you feel safe, like checking to make sure you got home safely, making sure you're not cold, things like this. It also means being a solid presence emotionally, so creating emotional safety, listening without judgment, providing reassurance, providing wisdom, things like that. It's about providing stability and security. So that's in many ways that can happen physically, emotionally, financially, just like creating a space that is safe. That's also defending and advocating for loved ones, standing up for them, shielding them from negativity, ensuring fairness, offering guidance, things like that. And also that instinctive care. So, checking in, anticipating needs, offering to help with things without being asked, and making thoughtful gestures. So, having that emotional maturity, listening, validating feelings, communicating openly instead of playing games, all of those things. Also, acts of service like fixing things or reminding you to do important things. And having a confidence without arrogance. So, daddy energy people are secure within themselves. Their presence is reassuring. They are humble about their success. They're not ostentatious in any way. They have a quiet confidence, so they don't need to prove themselves to anyone or to seek validation because they're super solid and confident within themselves. And they're also leaders, so they take the lead. You can turn to them for advice, and they just help create that stability. So, player energy is flirty and charismatic. They know how to make you feel special in the moment when you're together. They say the right things, but they actually don't follow through with anything more. They're non-committal. They avoid serious conversations about relationships and prefer just to keep things casual. So if someone's telling you that they don't want something serious, believe that firstly. But if they're telling you they do, but there's actually no follow through and you're not seeing the action behind their words, believe that too. That says a lot. They're exciting and spontaneous, so they thrive on adventure and unpredictability. They make interactions fun, but they're also inconsistent. So, a good example of this is in my late 20s, I had a first date with someone once, and it was like supposed to be a coffee and a beach walk, and it ended up being a coffee followed by a scenic helicopter flight over my city and then a beach walk. And I thought this guy was super into me because he was happy to create, an experience like that for me. And I think a lot of feminines would probably get swept up in something like that. But remember that there's no reason why you can't do exciting things for yourself. And so since then, I've enjoyed a scenic helicopter flight that I funded myself through the Himalayas in Nepal, which is cool also. And I'm in no way saying this to brag. I'm just demonstrating that we're able to give ourselves all the excitement that we need. And so they might be a smooth talker. They have a way with words and can be very persuasive. So they say things that make you feel good, how beautiful you are, like making plans for the future. And that's fine, that's nice, but if there's no actual follow through in terms of actions, then it's all just words and it's player energy, most likely. And they're elusive and hard to pin down. So they might be inconsistent with communication or avoid defining the relationship. So that guy I mentioned earlier, after our first date, over the following week, I noticed he would only message me during office hours, Monday to Friday. So I let him know I wasn't interested in seeing him again. He totally had a secret partner or family, or more likely, he wanted me to be the secret. Yeah, so just, and so those are the signs of player energy. So ultimately, people with daddy energy respect you as a divine feminine and are looking for ways to help you, protect you, and support you. They're in their divine masculine and not their wounded masculine energy. So they see you as precious. They don't see you as weak or a damsel in distress or anything like that, but a precious feminine creature that should be kept safe and protected, and they'll feel inspired to do that. You don't need to tell them to do it or nag them to do that. If you're nagging someone to do this, then they don't have daddy energy. I also wanted to note that this doesn't have anything to do with sex or gender. So I've been in a same-sex relationship, and although we were both feminine presenting, my late fiance was definitely more in her masculine energy when we met, being like super hardworking and wanting to provide safety and security in the material world. And I was more nurturing and caring. And so this is contrasted with player energy, which has more of a selfish vibe to it. It's more so wounded masculine energy and on the emotionally immature side of things. And just because people are of a certain age, it doesn't mean that they're emotionally mature. So my dad was very emotionally immature, and so was my mum, but he had player energy still in his like 60s and 70s, and he never made the decision to grow up. Because to heal that wounded masculine energy, it requires actually doing the internal work and making a conscious effort to work through things. It doesn't just happen. And many people in this player energy are just not prepared to do that. So how to attract daddy energy? So you have to embody the energy you want to attract. So that means within yourself as a feminine, being confident, being emotionally intelligent, having self-respect, and that naturally draws people in with similar qualities. So if you still have some wounded feminine aspects, that you need to work on healing all of that. And part of all of that, the emotional intelligence and things like that, means not being manipulative, not using your seductive power to get things from people. It means like being really authentic and true and honest and open and communicating things in a healthy way. And so it's not insecure energy, it's not manipulative, it doesn't lack self-respect. Yeah, those are the main things. It's also about setting clear boundaries. So players thrive on ambiguity, while mature people respect boundaries. So be upfront about things, say what you think. Also, don't let yourself be treated like an option. If someone wants to keep their options open, that is totally fine. But it's important to send them back where they came from if that's not what you're wanting, and let them try that with someone else. Because being in your feminine energy means knowing and respecting your resources. And my opinion is that our most valuable resource is our time. It's something that once it's gone, it's gone. And the second most valuable resource is our energy, because it needs to be managed appropriately. And so I'm very selective about who or what I spend my time and energy on. And people may think that I'm stuck up or aloof or whatever, selfish, but I don't actually care. And so by being selective, that means that when I do show up for someone, I can be fully present with them with all the energy that I want to show up with, and fully be myself for the people that are important to me, or the things that are important to me. And so you also want to look at actions and not just words. So I mentioned this earlier, it's about consistency, reliability. So pay attention to how someone shows up for you. Are they consistently communicating with you? Are they showing up in reliable ways? Are they contacting you and making plans? I'm not a fan of getting to know people via texting. I feel like it's a big time and energy spender. And so I don't like feeling like I'm a slave to my phone. And people with daddy energy are also busy and have things going on. But if they want to get to know you, they'll make a plan in advance to see you. So if you're uncertain about anything and have to guess about where someone's at, what level of interest have they got for you, like that's not daddy energy. So that's really important to do. The other thing is observing how they treat other people. So someone with daddy energy is often like protective, kind, considerate, not just towards you, but towards other people as well. And they also are willing to engage in meaningful conversation. So deeper discussions about values and goals and emotional well-being, that will naturally filter out those people that aren't serious, because player energy just wants to keep everything surface level and superficial, and they may be emotionally avoidant as well, so they're not going to want to talk about deeper things. So that's another way to tell. And so it's important to analyze the type of conversation that someone is trying to engage in. If they're talking themselves up too much or about superficial topics, and won't go deeper, then that's like a real sign. And so how can you cultivate more divine feminine energy? Prioritize your self-worth. So when you radiate self-respect, you attract people who value and respect you in return. So this is going to require you to work on any childhood wounds around self-worth if you have them. And it can also include a period of celibacy or abstinence from physical intimacy with other people. And this is like to preserve energy, to deepen spiritual connection and enhance our intuition. This is something that I have done for years, the last few years, while I've been healing my traumas and my childhood wounding, particularly around the masculine, but also my wounded feminine side. And I found it to be super effective at preserving my energy, having spiritual clarity, doing emotional healing, strengthening my intuition, avoiding energetic entanglements. This is like such an important one. Who we choose to be physically intimate with creates energetic bonds. And so when we're doing that, we're tangling ourselves up in whatever toxic dynamic or situation that they've got going on, and it rubs off on us, like literally. So this is like a super important one. I would just, even if you don't do this step or this particular one, I would just be really mindful about who you're being physically intimate with if you're wanting to really step into your feminine power and embody your feminine energy. And so raising your vibration is also one of the benefits of doing this. So the next thing is embodying grace and flow. So the divine feminine thrives in ease and flow. So that means letting go of control, allowing things to unfold naturally. And I think when you've been in such a state of control, like if you've been living in your masculine energy for so long, I think this is really hard to do, because we feel like if we let go, something bad's going to happen, or what we want's not going to happen. There's this like fear of letting go, of just like, releasing. But when you truly trust that everything's okay. Everything's going to fall into place. You are where you need to be. Life is working out for you. Things can be allowed to unfold naturally. So, yeah, once you let go, it feels like you're taking a step backwards, but you're actually not. You're just like aligning to be in more of a receptive state, which is what the feminine is. And to, allow things to come in instead of pushing for things or forcing things to happen. So it's also necessary to radiate self-love and confidence. So when you deeply love and honor yourself, you attract partners who do the same. So instead of chasing, allow yourself to receive care, affection, support. The divine feminine is magnetic, so it's really important to be receptive. So I was operating in my masculine energy for too long, and I think I was actually repelling people away that had daddy energy, because I was emitting this energy of I'm hyper dependent and I've got this, and not only do I not need help, but I actually don't accept help. Like, those were the vibes I think I was sending out, like this stay away energy. And I would get offended if a man would open a door for me, for example. Like, it was really very hyper independent. And I don't think it was serving me at the end of the day. And since I've allowed this receptive, feminine state into my life, everywhere I go, there is just a masculine there, ready to serve, ready to help. And they're not looking for anything transactional, like player energy would be transactional. Like, I do this thing for you and I expect something, this particular thing in return. It's not that. It's, you are a feminine and you are embodying your feminine energy. How can I serve you? So it's been kind of cool and amazing and beautiful. And I don't always take up every single offer of help, but it's just nice that it's there everywhere I go. So being in your divine feminine energy means expressing softness and vulnerability. So being open and emotionally available, and that creates space for strong protective presences to come and step in. So it's also important when we're cultivating our feminine energy to engage in activities that enhance this energy. So dancing, meditation, creative expression, doing Venusian things for ourselves. So taking care of our bodies, the way we look, treating ourselves, pampering ourselves, all of those things. It's also important to honor boundaries and standards. So the divine feminine does not settle. It's really important to treat ourselves with total respect. It's important to be able to meet all of our own needs. So when we're coming from this place of self-love, self-worth, self-respect, I can meet every single one of my own needs without anyone. We are in a very powerful position to be able to have strong boundaries and standards because we're not dependent on anyone. We don't need anything from anyone. And so when you're coming from a place of independence, not hyper independence, but independence, I can meet my own needs. I can look after myself. It allows, from a place of not neediness, the right type of energies to come in that are not codependent, that are not transactional, that are reciprocal. Divine masculine serves the divine feminine, creates that safety and security and all that stuff. The divine feminine feels safe and comfortable to open up, and then serves the divine masculine in return. It's beautiful. And so I really hope that some of these things have been helpful. It is a process. If there's healing to do, go away and do that. It changed my life. If there's other parts of your life where you don't feel 100% stable or secure within yourself. There are parts of your life you are dependent on other people for. It's important to address those, but I really hope that this was helpful. It has literally changed my life from being super burnt out, forcing my whole life to happen, to being in a completely different state of flow, of receptivity, of allowing good things to come to me, to happen to me, to magnetize people, experiences, everything. It's beautiful. And so I hope that this has helped. I love you.